tend to not do. Anabaptists would also have the women, Anabaptist women would cover their hair when they pray, which other Christians don't do. So there are things which Anabaptists, and only really Anabaptists, do, which other Christians are not doing. And I think it's because other Christians are coming together in a kind of a Christian unity. And there are Anabaptists who do try to join in with the Christian unity sort of project. But Anabaptists, by their definition, their historical definition, are more inclined to be interested in what the New Testament has to say rather than Christian unity. Because it's obvious, if you are from the Anabaptist community with the history that they have, to Anabaptists, that many people throughout history have called themselves Christians, and there's no reason to be united with them when they have behaved in very un-Christian ways. So Anabaptists would acknowledge that they themselves are Christian, but they wouldn't acknowledge that other people who are calling themselves Christians are Christian. And likewise, Christians might then sometimes sort of ostracize Anabaptists as being different as well. So there's a kind of a difference between the two. And I think it's important to talk about this difference. Christian Messihi, okay, being Messianists, essentially. Christian coming from the word Messihi, or Mashiach, obviously in Hebrew. Messihi is a Judeo-Arabic term, and you know on this channel we love to use Judeo-Arabic more than anything else, I suppose. So this Messihi, yes, they are Messihi. If you want to use another Judeo-Arabic term for Christians, Nasara, no, they are not. Anabaptists do not fit into the category of Nasara. They don't come under that category. They don't have kings and bishops and archbishops. They don't have an organized royal church as the Nasara did. Another thing that Anabaptists don't have is adoptionism, in any slightest sense of the meaning of the word. Anabaptists believe in a kind of Christology which is called the celestial flesh Christology, which was outlined very clearly. Now, of course, there are modern, as we say, the modern Anabaptist movements, neo-Anabaptists, who are trying to get closer with other denominations of Christian, but that really means that they've moved over from being Anabaptist into, or moved away from Anabaptism into Christianity or churchianity rather than, or the doctrines of Christianity, rather than staying true and faithful to the New Testament. You know, other Christians would say, where can I find a book about this or that, the other? And if you say to the Christian, we'll read the Bible, they say, oh, no, I mean, I've read the Bible. They'll say, can I have another book? Whereas Anabaptists would say, well, just read the Bible. Stick on reading the Bible. Eventually, you'll find the truth. If you just have faith that this is the word of God, and you'll get past all the contradictions. Everything will start to make sense if you follow the New Testament. But other Christians are like, well, it's too difficult, too boring. I need to have my evangelical text to try and read and explain, some pastor to explain to me. They don't want to get into the New Testament, sort of what we call radical New Testament fundamentalism, which is what the Anabaptists are historically famous for. So they're not Nasara. They don't have the same sort of diophysite Christology that other Christians have. They are monophysite or miaphysite in that sense, because they have this celestial flesh idea. You can ask a Christian, does Jesus' flesh come from his mother? And the Christian will say yes. You ask an Anabaptist, does Jesus' flesh come from his mother? The Anabaptist will say no, it doesn't come from his mother. So this is a very fundamental difference between them. And I noticed this actually when I asked Dr. J. Smith, who is in fact somebody who is more inclined towards sort of a communal approach with other Christians, a Christian unity or Christian nationalist sort of approach to things. But he does come from an Anabaptist background. And I once asked him about the flesh of Jesus, does it come from his mother? He said unequivocally, emphatically, no, it doesn't. And that is something which is very strong in the true Anabaptist. If you find an Anabaptist, somebody saying they're Anabaptist and they say that his flesh comes from his mother, you know that person's fake. This is even somebody who is basically moving away from the Anabaptist's fanaticism, as J. Smith is, will still hold on to this fundamental principle: Jesus' flesh does not come from his mother. Okay, but if you find somebody who says otherwise, then you've clearly found somebody who's not a real Anabaptist. So that's a first fundamental thing. Now, another thing which the Anabaptists have, which is different from other Christians, not different from Catholics and Eastern Orthodox and Oriental Orthodox, but different from Protestants, which shows that Anabaptists are not actually a Protestant movement, is that Anabaptists still hold on to the whole complete traditional Christian Bible, including what the Protestants call the Apocrypha. Anabaptists have that. The example is sometimes called the Lutheran Bible as opposed to the Protestant Bible. The Anabaptists would, although they are not Lutherans and had suffered at the hands of the Lutherans, would not object to a Lutheran Bible. They would hold on to what's called a Hussite Bible, Jan Hus, and the Hussite Bible. This was an earlier form of Protestants, if you like, sometimes called the Bohemian Reformation, and they had a full, complete Bible with all of what the Western Christian Protestants would call the Apocrypha. Anabaptists hold on to all of that as well. Another thing which distinguishes Anabaptists from Protestants is that there is a tendency among Anabaptists to hold on to, or want to hold on to, or give some kind of sign of holding on to Julian calendar over the Gregorian calendar. Now, you'll say, well, look, Mennonites use the Gregorian calendar. That's true, But there will be, for example, among Mennonites, they'll celebrate Twelfth Night at Christmas. Now, why do they celebrate Twelfth Night at Christmas? Because the 12th night of Christmas, if you count Christmas Eve as the first night and then go through the 12 nights after that, the 12th night was the original Christmas day after the calendar reformation in the 1500s. The calendar was, the Catholic Church changed the calendar in the 1580s after the Protestant Reformation in order to show that they still had power over Christianity, over the church, over all Christians, whether they're Protestants or not. So they wanted to make an emphasis to show how powerful that Roman that's Rome, the Vatican, Roman influence was in Europe by changing the calendar, adjusting it to making it more correct according to the seasons. That's what's called the Gregorian calendar reform. It happened in the 1580s. And basically, even though the Calvinists were angry about the Roman Catholic Church, and the Lutherans were angry about the Roman Catholic Church, and the Anglicans were angry about the Roman Catholic Church, all of them came over to the Roman Catholic calendar reform, the Gregorian calendar reformation, showing that in the end they were very much tied to Rome still, and also emphasizing the power of Rome over Europe at the time. Now, what the Anabaptists did is they said, well, we're not going to